Page 91, Scarborough Fair. This is pieces and a lot of method books too. On page 88, they're starting unit 7. You are moving right along. Again, if you're confused or you're kind of struggling or you're not understanding everything, you're forgetting things, this is a time to go back through the book again, review everything again, review the lessons again, review the pieces again. Please don't be in a hurry to just whip through this book. Take your time with it and try and absorb all this stuff. Now on page 88, now we're introducing the key of D minor. D minor is the relative minor to F major. That means they have the same key signature. Hopefully you already know the key signature for F major. If you've forgotten it, you definitely need to go back and review everything again. F major has one flat. A B flat. All the B's are flat. Well, D minor has one flat. Again, if you're forgetting how do you figure out the relative minor to a major key? Let's take F major here. F major's here. I'm going to come down here. It's got a B flat, F to F. If I want to know the relative minor, I go down 3 half steps. That's it. 3 half steps. From F, there's 1, 2, 3. 3. And so it's D minor. Remember, for C major, it was 1, 2, 3. A minor was a relative minor to C major. Well, D minor is not relative minor. You need to go do my scale video on D minor, 1 octave up and down. So now when you're practicing the scales with a key signature, or a piece has a key signature with 1 flat, you practice the scales. Practice the F major and the D minor scales. Get both of them. I just do it by key signature. And I would prefer you do it as I tell you in the video. We're using the harmonic minor in the video because that's the one that's most commonly used. And if you'll remember, that raises the 7th step up a half step. So in D minor, you're here. Remember the B flat? That's the natural minor. Well, if I take the 7th step, which is the C, it's 1 less than 8. And I take it up a half step, I'm playing C sharp instead. That's the harmonic minor, and that's the one we use the most. Now on page 89, they get some more exercises where you get to have fun writing stuff in and figuring stuff out. Have a ball with that. I don't cover it. If you have questions, you're welcome to ask. On page 90 is sight reading. Very important. Please do all the sight reading you can. Even sight read 1 hand at a time if you have to, but do the sight reading. Now let's talk Scarborough Fair. It's 1 page long, it's 4 lines, but we got repeat signs to deal with. So it's basically almost twice as long as it looks. You have treble and bass clef, 3/4 time, okay. 1 flat, so you know it's either F major or D minor, and you figure it's D minor because that's what we're studying. But nevertheless, let's pretend we didn't know that. We'll look at the end, you're here. That's a D minor chord, then you figure, okay, because most of the time the pieces will end on a 1 chord. Not always, careful, but most of the time. Sometimes they'll start on a 1 chord, but it's not as reliable as looking at the end. Look at the end first and see if you can figure it out. Otherwise, you kind of got to look through it and what's the harmony being used, and you see, well, we're using the D minor chord a lot. That's probably D minor. Also, the harmonies sound different. F major's here. D minor's here. They just sound different. And so as you're playing the piece, you can get an idea. Does it sound like it's F major or sound like it's D minor? Let's take it 1 hand at a time, make sure we got the fingering and all. I don't think the rhythm's a problem, assuming you can do dotted rhythms. And I'm assuming by now you can. So if you can't, definitely go back and start the book again and go through everything again. So on the 3rd measure, when the right hand comes in, you're here. You don't need these other finger numbers here coming up because you're here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and measure 6. That's tied. Hold it down for 4 counts. Just reach up if you can. It's 2, 4. We changed hand positions. Be natural. Let's go down to the next line. Measure 13. You're here, 1, 2, and then again we're taking advantage of the repeated note to change hand positions. 2 and then crossover, and then here. And at the bottom, go ahead and put thumb on that. Don't use third finger. When you repeat this, because see the reverse repeat sign, you're going to go back up. There's a note at the top says second time 8V8. So you're going to lift up and go up an octave. And you're going to play it second time up here. Well, when you get down to the bottom now, on 18, measure 18, you're here. Here. I don't recommend third finger because the next note is an F and a D, but it's an octave higher, so it's up here. So you're going from here to here. No. Put thumb on that. Play that with a thumb. This way, you just reach up in extended position. The whole chord is this. We're not using the A, we're just using that. We don't have to use every note in the chord. Just reach up 2-5 here. This is very common in piano, and I encourage you to use this fingering. It's 1 and then 2-5. So use thumb on that, not third finger. Left hand's got broken chords. You got the D chord, D minor chord. At the end of the line is the C chord. And then back to here. So you're moving around a little bit. Put the hands together. Third measure, whether they're together to here. Connect everything right now. Get the idea? Now when you repeat and your right hand goes up an octave, the left hand stays where it's at. And if you want, when you repeat, because you're here, you can, if you want, use a different finger for the first note. I can use little finger if I want, and then thumb. Because it's a repeated note. I can change hand positions there if I want. So I'm here at the end. I can reach out with little finger. And then thumb. That comes in handy in a lot of pieces to use that kind of fingering rather than trying to use the same finger all the time or something. Then go through and get rid of the hesitations. And then we'll add the, as far as articulation goes, connect. Lift up. Lift up. Lift up. That's fine. Lift up. The left hand connect it all the way through. Just no spaces. So when you're lifting up in the right hand, you're not lifting up in the left. For instance, measure 6 and 7, it's here. Lift. I lift up here, but not here. Right here, but keep this down. So lift up in one hand and not the other. It's a good exercise. And that's something you can practice when you're doing the scales. When you're doing the D minor scale, try playing one hand disconnected and the other's connected. And then switch it. So you get that feeling of doing different things in the hands. You take advantage of the scales to practice these things. That's why I don't assign exercises. I don't use them. I use the scales for that kind of stuff. Now, as far as dynamics, well, they tell you soft at the beginning, and then the medium soft. That's okay. The left hand's going to stay soft. All they're telling you is melody's a little louder. But you're on the soft side. Measure 7, go up to moderately loud. The left hand stays soft. Now this note on measures, 10 and 11, that's going to die away on its own. So just let it. Now moderately loud. The left hand stays soft. And then on measure 14, 15 or so, you're going to go back down to moderately loud, moderately soft, and then it'll die away on its own. Just let it die away. Keep the left hand in the background. Now you're soft. The left hand's very soft. And at the bottom, you're soft, just let it die away and play the left hand as soft as you can. Don't use soft pedal, that's cheating. You gotta learn to do it with the fingers. At the end, the last two measures, that's very soft, that's both hands, because there's no melody here, it's just both hands. You're up here. And the fermata, you just hold that out for a while. I'll do it with a metronome, I'll hold it for 6 counts instead of 3, I just double it. Speed, well, it's supposed to be kind of slow. Not slow, just sort of slow. You think this is 1, 2, 3, that's not slow, moderately. It's the flow of the piece. It's not the speed of the beat. If you're going to sing it, this is sort of slow. It feels sort of slow. And that's how you do it then. Then finally the pedal. Well, you don't need pedal on it. You can do it fine without. However, they've added pedal, so let's try it out. They're using overlapping pedal again. They're sort of changing it with the harmony, but we got to watch out because it'll get blurry. And I see like on measure 14 where they're not pedaling that, that's because it would be blurry if they did. So that part they got right. But however, there's some other things we can look at too. So if I pedal it the way it's shown, this is it. Notes go down first and then the pedal. And I'll change the pedal after I play the notes. If that sounds okay to you, fine. If it sounds okay to you, I don't think you're listening very well. Because it sounds terrible. I don't want that, or I don't want all that. So I'm going to lift it up so I don't get that blurriness. Otherwise, I'll pedal it like they're showing. So at the beginning, it's fine. It's all one harmony. It's all one chord. However, on the second measure where the right hand's playing, I'm going to change it because I don't want to keep this. I don't want both of those notes. I want to keep the melody clean, so I'm going to change the pedal at the bar line. And here, again, I'm going to lift it up on the third beat because I don't want, it's too blurry. Measure 7, I lift the pedal up at the end of the phrase with the right hand, and I don't pedal the rest of the measure. I don't need it. So it's measure 6, lift up, don't pedal. Now, and I don't pedal this. I don't pedal that measure. You don't need it, just don't. Lift at the end of the line there on measure 11, lift it up with the right hand so we hear the phrase. You can go ahead and pedal the note because it's repeated. We want to connect it, but lift it up so we hear the phrase. And lift it up with the right hand for the phrase. And on measure 19, I don't pedal that. You can pedal the first beat maybe, but and that's up. That's my suggestion of pedaling. I want to hear the phrasing. I don't want it to be blurry, so I'm experimenting with the pedal and the sound. What am I getting? I know it's making it more complicated, but as far as I'm concerned, use the pedal right or don't use it. Don't get into the habit of mushiness. Oh, that's okay. It's the best I can do. Ugh, no. please don't copy me. You make it yours. I'd play it different every time I play it, so it's just a general idea of what it might sound like. I'd like to play it with you very slowly. Let's double check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do any dynamics. I'm going to play both hands about the same. We will do the repeat though. So I'll give us 3 counts. I'm going to pedal it as I suggested, or at least I'm going to try to. 1, ready, go.